There we go.
I
Nice.
might start that again because why do I look like Ghost
I
Dad
don't
in
know. I
here?
was gonna say you look like Ghost John.
My computer does not know what to do with all this daylight. That maybe that's what it is. I'm just gonna look ghosty. You know what? I'm
The
just gonna look
daylight.
ghosty.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
Ghost John. I knew you were an AI. I knew it.
it, you know, I was where was I? Yeah, TikTok or something. It was live, and people were commenting on how real that AI guy looked. And, and I
Uh,
keep going like, what are they talking about? It was me.
that's
I
funny.
mean, am I just that polished in real life? I don't know. Anyway,
You
this is Tech
are.
and Talent, everybody.
Yeah.
And it's a show where we talk about all things AI, all things entertainment, and whether or not they're coming to take your jobs, these robots. I don't know if I'd say that they're going to completely replace you, but I would say that if you don't learn to adapt and utilize this technology, then you will be uh, booted out by people who do adapt and learn to use technology in the arts.
Yeah, yes, I do. You know, it's funny. I've been so gung ho, like learning all this AI and stuff. Like, it's weird. I'm at a point where I'm so burnt out. You know, AI is supposed to be making our lives easier, but like I'm like a little bit burnt out and fried just because like the tech is happening so fast. Um, you know, I did have a buddy who brought to my awareness. You know, he has a cartoon for kids on YouTube that he's been making. And he did bring to my awareness that a lot of these generation apps, you know, especially if they're owned by ByteDance, basically in their user agreement say that anything you upload and make, they have first right to license. So actually, it's called Buddy Bear. And he's been shooting, he's owned the IP for a long time. And like he's done it practically. He's also done it by creating some AI stuff. But I think he got a little sketched out because of what some of these AI companies are saying in terms of owning and licensing stuff. I mean, the reality is like we have to be so careful. Like we do have to be so careful on where we're putting our likeness and where we're sharing content that we shoot. I mean, you have to like read these user agreements, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I mean the easiest way to do that is literally just put the user agreement into AI and have it tell you what it is, you know. So
Are you afraid that people will take your work? People, companies, whatever? You think
you
they're going to do
know,
that?
I mean, I don't know if well, if I'm working on something to create IP, you know, like a show or something, then I would be afraid. You know, like some of the other stuff, you know, the way I look at it is, you know, I have so much stuff of Brett Newton out on the internet, you know, that's free stuff that's supposed to promote me as an actor or entrepreneur or filmmaker, right? And that stuff is already kind of free reign, even if I created it or wrote it or whatever. I think what I would be afraid of is if I created something with you know, something that I focused on with a lot of IP and kind of shaped a world and built a world or built an AI film or series, you know, then putting the time and effort into that and then that license being stolen away from you. You know, that's where I would be afraid because I truly do believe, like, I have a positive outlook where I truly do believe that we are in the age of the actor producer, you know, where anybody or just the producer where anybody can create anything. And I think it's going to create worlds where um you know where people who weren't creators before are now able to create things. But the thing is, I think we just have to watch out for who owns that IP. Hey Chad, what's up, buddy?
Hi.
Good morning.
How
We're live. We're
Good
going. We're
morning.
going.
we're live.
All right.
Hello.
Well, we're not live, but we're
Yeah.
recording. We are
Great.
recording in the show. So so Jonathan, meet the great Chad Darnell, actor,
Hey,
cast director, producer, writer, multi
hey,
hyphen.
Chad.
You throw stuff on the wall, it sticks.
Right now, I'm just throwing things against the wall.
Okay, and nothing
I'm
is sticking at all.
I'm ready. Well, the bodies aren't yet. Um, it's been a journey this past month. I can't wait for a new season.
What kind of journey are you on?
I'm working on a low budget feature right now that is a low budget feature. They just called asking me to rush three people to be in a pit with a bunch of ticks, and we're in Savannah right now, so the gnats are just like I'm eaten alive. I was only there for 20 minutes yesterday,
Oh
and
wow.
they were
Okay,
like,
but are you
"Just
saying
get
the
in there."
film is about three people in a pit
No,
with ticks?
it's a horror movie, but there's dead bodies that the leads will happen upon, and so they've got like fake dead bodies that are out there. But then, and I had asked in pre-production, do I need real bodies? And they're like, no, they're going to be fake dead bodies. Now, of course, they want three people rushed in 45 minutes in Savannah, which is also known as Slovana, because it takes me 3 days to book an extra. So you think I'm going to get there to somebody in 45 minutes? Please. And then
I've
I've been,
I've never heard Slovana,
oh,
but
that's
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I was like, no, thank you. I will not be doing that. And then I'm doing a play that has it's been really rewarding, but it is also like just it's been a journey. We had a very short rehearsal process. It's a very difficult. It's one of the hardest. I've done Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which a lot of musical theater actors call as the hardest role, the hardest male role in theater. This I think is a. I mean, I think also it's the fact that it's been a very small rehearsal process, and it's the play The White Ship by Sean Daniels. It's been done all over the world, and it's a really great play, but it's super intense and physically and very rewarding, but that's been a challenge as well. Uh,
And you're in it or you're
yeah,
casting
I'm
it?
in it.
You're in
I'm in
it.
it. Yeah,
Right on. So where can we see this?
at the Savannah. Well, it closes this weekend at Savannah Rep, but
Okay.
So hurry up.
yeah,
Right, because by the time we get this out.
right.
I'll make sure that we get this out today. I've said that before, but I'll make sure that we do that. So how do you guys connect? Have you worked together? Are you competitors? What's the story here?
I mean, I guess any great entertainment industry person considers each one a collaborator, right? Right. I think Chad, when did we actually meet? I mean, we've run into each other, and I feel like we had this conversation the other day. But we ran into each other. I moved to Atlanta 8 years ago. And I think we've just run in and out of each other, and now we're just popping on a lot of the same productions, running into each other even more. So yeah.
We a couple of times here and there over the years, and then recently within the vertical world. So that's been the last vertical that I did with Brett. I when I saw the audition notice and I saw that he was on it, I purposely auditioned for it, thinking I was auditioning for a very small role. So I'm like, I'll only be on for a day, and then I ended up being on for a week, and they ended up having to change a
Don't you
lot of.
hate it when that happens?
Well,
No, it was
yeah,
great.
yeah,
It was
right.
they
Dude,
actually
well,
rewrote the role for
well,
me.
well, the other thing too with that specific role, so like one of the actors, so Chad played like the evil villain son of the main evil villain man, and the actor had started giving production like weird issues and like was like threatening production. So literally we were like, okay, well, thank you for your time. And we rewrote the script and we gave the dialogue to Chad's role. And then Chad he got all this dialogue like the night before, came in and knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. It's really impressive. I don't think we can just zoom past the guy was making threats to production. What did he say?
I
What
mean,
happened? What's that whole story?
so the character itself had to be like he had to be actively sick in a scene. So like he continuously was like and like had to like cough. And like he was doing it when he wasn't even on camera and no one had asked him to do it. And then and he had never said to anyone that it was an issue, you know. And then at the end of the day he was like, oh, I have to go to I don't know, to some doctor or something, and the bill, and like the bill is this much, and da 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 da, and I'm gonna have this, and I'm gonna be permanently damaged, and da 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 da, and we're like, wait, what? Like you didn't address anything with anybody. Like I talked to the director, I talked to everyone who was directly on set with him. I never heard anything. There were other producers on set. Nobody was told anything. And like this guy never complained about anything on set. So like literally the next morning he like tried to get money out of us. And like look, we were all about like, hey, like we'll take care of medical bills. Like if you had to go to the doctor, send us a receipt. We're happy to do that. We're happy to take care of you. Tell us what the issue is. Why didn't you bring this up previously? And it turned into something where like then he started threatening, well, if you don't give me this much money, which was it was a large, like it was just a random sum, like a large random sum, and we're like, wait, now
Like $200,000 large, or
no,
$14,000 large?
like yeah, like it's more like the secondary number, right? But still, like for like maybe like $100 doctor appointment, you know what I mean? And we were even asking, we're like, yeah, send us the bill, like let us look at it, and then we're happy to reimburse. And then he started threatening, well, I'm not coming back to set and this and that. So at that point we were like, okay. And meanwhile, like he was trying to say like he's physically inept and da da da. Meanwhile, like 10 days before, he was hiking Machu Picchu, and like he had this whole social media thing about like 20 days hiking another country. And he's complaining about something, and we're thinking like he's like, oh, the cough, me coughing on set causes. And meanwhile, in production, we're like, well, maybe it was the 20 days hiking across another country, but like you should have brought it up. Anyway, he threatened not to come back. So we basically just agreed with him. We said, okay, like send us the medical bills, send us a receipt. We'll cover you for that. If you don't feel comfortable coming back to set, that's fine. Thank you for everything that you've done. We'll figure it out. And, I mean, that's production. So,
Yeah.
And you were there as well, Chad?
Yeah, Jonathan, the funny thing was, again, I wanted a small part. The only reason I wanted a small part was just to work one day, was I wanted to get on set to talk to Brett about writing for verticals. So then I get, the casting director sends me the dates, and it's like, I think it was 4 dates. I'm like, why am I in for 4 days? I've only got 3 lines. And of my 3 lines, the first line was, where is so and so? And then the next line, like there's somebody talks, and it's like, why is so and so here? So when I got to set, I said, can I go talk to the director? And so he's a very nice guy. So I walked over and said, no, lines aren't precious to me, but I think we need to cut one of my lines, or I'm schizophrenic. And he reads the lines like, oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And Brett, there was another guy that was there. That was one of the guys allegedly. I was told that later that he was one of the guys that helped decide. Oh, just change it to Chad. I mean, I know that Brett, they were all involved in a conversation, but because I'd gone over and was like, yeah, I just want to make this work. And so they cut one of my lines. And so for 3 days, of course, in verticals, there's always a big banquet scene. So for 3 days, we're all talking, it's, Shakespeare. And so then we finish the banquet scene. I have one more day that I'm supposed to go back the next day, Monday. And at 11:30 that night for a 6:30 a.m. call time, I see the director's name pop up on my phone, and I'm like, "Hello," and he's like, "Hi, Chad. How are you?" I'm like, "I'm good. What's going on?" I'm thinking I'm getting being fired, and so like he's calling me at 11:30 to tell me I'm being fired. He's like, "So we've had a change," and then that's when he explained what had happened, and I'm like, "That's not going to make any sense." And so when I got on set that morning, I remember just having pages and like, can I make a suggestion about how to make this work? And so I added a couple lines like, I'm afraid of my father. That's why I don't speak for the last 35 pages at this banquet scene. So it was
right.
so much fun. And I mean, it was trial by fire because getting all of those pages, less than 6 hours later. And also the team is really great. So everybody works really fast, but also they understand you just got all this dialogue just right now. And then I was on the poster. They added me to like I'm a villain now. I'm a real short villain, and that
We're
was
so
great. And then
happy.
that kind of led to some other things. And but then finally on my last day, I got to talk to Brett and about writing some verticals. And Brett's been very supportive of showing me around. He's introduced me to people who have hired me as a writer. So That was the whole reason that I wanted to
He was using me.
I was using you the entire time. Thanks for that.
Well, you got an upgrade as an actor and you got a writing job out of it. Jesus.
Yeah.
Way to
Yeah.
go.
That's the best and weirdest story I've
Right.
heard in quite a while. But I also think, listen, actors, if you don't want AI to replace you, you have to follow the number one rule of show business, which is don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
It
Yeah.
If
just that's what I was going with. That's what happened like 30 minutes ago. That I was literally having this conversation 30 minutes ago. That was the other reason I'm like, no, I'm not helping you. I'm not doing that because that production has been such a nightmare. And so yeah, don't be a dick. It's really easy. It's
Don't be a
so
it's an
easy.
it's an easy rule, and I think it applies to both actors and directors and casting and producers. If we all just remember that we're in this together, the industry is tough, but the people are great. If we can all remember that, then I think AI won't replace us. But I will tell you this, if people keep having experiences like the ones you guys just talked about, I feel like it'd be a lot easier to just prompt an AI guy to play the dad and to not cough and to not have doctor bills. Wouldn't that be easier?
Yeah, yeah, it is interesting. There is a reason why producers go in a certain way, the path of least resistance a lot of the times, and then obviously budgetary restrictions. But then, if there's a solution, producers are solution minded most of the time, right? I need a solution. I'm problem solving. Most of producing is logic, and then problem solving. Yeah, I don't know. That's just a good motive or idea if as an actor or anyone in the industry. All right, when I get on set as an actor, I think my idea is be as 100% prepared and make everybody else's life as easy as possible, you know? And I feel like that served me a lot and I've worked a lot because of that.
Yeah.
So,
There you go. Now, Chad, as a writer, do you utilize any forms of AI in your process?
Okay, so I have not yet. I was listening to your podcast last night, and I do love what you guys talked about with decks. I have utilized in creating a deck for of course as the writer, whenever you write a script, it seems like nowadays we have to do everything for the producer, including like cast it and get a deck going and get a budget done. It feels like I don't know why that's just my lot in life right now with every production that I have. But we did. I have a film based on the life of Malcolm Mitchell, who's a football player for UGA, former UGA player, won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady several years ago. He it's an incredible story. Raised by a single mother in Valdosta, Georgia, and when he got to college, he realized he couldn't really read, and so he taught himself to read through children's books at UGA, and now he writes children's books and he joined a book club with a bunch of old white women, and so it's this really great story, and so again with that film, my friend Stephanie Osteen, she wanted to produce it, so we got Malcolm, we met the family and everybody, did the script, but then we had to do the deck, and so we did utilize AI with some of the creations of that deck, and again prompting and whatnot. My whole thing with AI, I will say, my big thing with AI, not less so about the is it going to steal ideas or that I but I'm worried about the water reservoirs. That's my whole thing. I'm worried about like I'm killing a small community. That's my big thing about using AI. My friend
so
Jessica Meyer is constantly posting about that. So I'm constantly afraid that I'm killing a rainforest somewhere whenever I use AI.
on the other side of that, people forget that that the water cooling systems, a lot of them are cyclical. Like they recycle the water through. So it'll be cooled water through a hot machine, cooled, so a lot of that is cyclical. There is evaporation. Now, I don't know all the numbers. I can't give you all the numbers. I don't think it's as crazy as people actually think it is. I do think that's a marketing media campaign. But on the other side of it, uh, it's funny because Jonathan knows me as long as we've been doing this, like I've been talking and excited about AI. I'm finally at a point where I'm just exhausted. I'm a little bit fried just because the landscape is changing so rapidly. By the time you learn one of these programs, like there's already 10 more iterations that have changed things dramatically. And then all this licensing stuff, especially when it comes to generative content and like who really owns the stuff. Now I do think I do personally, I think that every network and studio has an internal AI system that they haven't made publicized yet. I think every network and studio is experimenting with AI heavily. The whole Brad Pitt company,
Ben Affleck.
I forget what it's called, but he sold it to Netflix for $600 million. They use like they film in like a gray space and they used LiDAR for spacing and the specs in the camera. And and then they patented that, but I don't know how they can patent that when it's like a new, like it's just technology that people are experimenting with. I understand how that whole thing works. They're shooting one thing practically and then building everything else, with generative AI, which I think is great. You still have the practical actors and then the environments and even the lighting. You can change the lighting now. But I don't know, it's crazy. It's like it's anything that you can ask for, you can just do now. We're gonna come to a world, since everyone can create anything, we're gonna come to a world, I think, with a couple things. One, these generative platforms are gonna have the power. They're gonna have the power with either throttling generations, so like slowing people down, because I think first to release it in the world that we're going into is gonna be the goal for a lot of these companies, first to get the new thing out there. But like if you're just a hobbyist, you may have issues if you're not spending, thousands of dollars a month on these platforms. You may not get the best service, or the best generations. And then obviously it takes a lot of experimenting. And then just these licenses, we have to look at, what you put in there, what are you giving them license to? Versus which platforms don't do that and let you generate no problem, and then which platforms are doing that. Anything ByteDance I think is very sketchy. I think they try to own everything. So yeah. So like
Everything?
well, example like CapCut, like I've heard things because CapCut is an editing system owned by ByteDance. And this is allegedly, I don't, I need to do more research on this, but I've heard things that whatever you input and edit in CapCut, ByteDance has a license to now. So
which is so
I
wild.
find I find that very hard to believe. I'm not saying I
It's
would.
it's it's a free edit. It's a free editing program. So like by signing the user agreement, are you reading everything that you're signing when you sign that user agreement?
No. I don't even read the words user agreement when it comes.
Yeah.
I'm just clicking through to get to the thing.
Yeah.
So there we are. All right. End of
You also
story.
asked, are you watching the comeback this season?
The comeback. I don't know
Lisa
what that
Kudrow.
is.
It's a Lisa Kudrow show on HBO or
Oh,
Max. We're
no.
talking this week. That's what this season is about. She's on a sitcom that they're using AI to write the script, and there's one writer who's supposed to like manage the AI, and it's a really interesting arc for the season. I
It
did so. What were you gonna say, Brett?
No, I was gonna say in the show, that's part of the story.
Yeah, that's the A storyline. Is that her show? She's been called back to do a three camera sitcom with James Burrows um, and it's a completely AI script, and she's afraid to tell anybody that it's an AI company that's writing the script.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I so AI script writing for me. This I do love this story. Brett knows these people that I'm talking about. The very first how I came into the AI writing world, and the reason I wanted to get with Brett is that as a writer and work in the Crazy Maple Real Short World,
Right.
I had a friend who owns a property that a lot of these houses, a lot of this vertical shoot at. and he wanted to get into producing. This man does not know anything about producing. He had sold a tech company years ago. He had a lot of money, and his excuse was,
Then he's
vertical.
perfect.
Yeah, you would think. So he's like all he knew was that verticals make millions of dollars. So he wanted to make a vertical. He creatively he knew nothing, but whatever this thing is that he had, it was an AI program. So he had been feeding it scripts, and the studio that I was working for, oh, do you know who I'm talking about? But he'd been feeding it scripts, and then they sent me a script, and they wanted he was gonna make this vertical, he was gonna produce this vertical. They told me just search and replace the names of the characters and the locations. That's all I had to change. And I was like, wait, what? And what do you mean just change the names? Because the name of the script was, let's say it was something like I accidentally slept with a professor, or something like that. Let's vaguely, maybe something like that was the title. And they wanted me to change it to a father's best friend, and it didn't make it. I'm like, so when I started looking into it, I'm like, what do you mean change the setting? So I was like, why did you change the dialogue? I'm like, because one is a college professor, the other is a father's best friend. Why are all of these people randomly in this guy's house? Like, that's not how writing works, my guy. And so he's like, oh, I thought you could just change that. I'm like, no, that's how dumb this man was. And that this was my intro into the vertical world. I mean, I've been writing scripts, for years. And so I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. So then the studio head was like, okay, well, I guess he can change it a little bit. And so like that was okay. Like that could change a little. So as I started writing, well, then of course it didn't make any sense because the intents behind the characters didn't make sense. And so he was like feeding the script through AI and telling me what to write. And finally I was like, I can't do any of this. So I just wrote my script originally. Not I didn't look at any AI prompts that he was sending me or whatnot. And he never read the script. And so of course, he dropped my script into his AI program, and he said, is this did you use the AI? I'm like, no, I'm not using AI. I said it's an original script. I had never written a vertical script before. Audrey Dietz, who's an incredible director, she ended up directing it. I got her involved. She directed it, and it was the number one. I think it's still on the platform. It was the number one top film for that platform for 6 months.
Wow,
The vertical was,
congratulations.
but it was an original script. And again, it's like people are like, yeah, you have all the tropes of like the billionaire, blah, 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 blah. But it was an original script. And so I think there is a world out there where we can actually write vertical scripts with an original thought. And
With an
so
original. I think the genre. No, no, I agree. I agree 100%. Don't laugh at me, John. I'm
I'm not
not.
laughing at you. I'm just putting myself in Chad's shoes for a moment and thinking, like I would if I had hair, I'd be pulling it out.
I
It
attract
because it's
stupid people, apparently. That's my thing. It's
No,
just the
no, we're in an industry. We're in an industry that does that.
mutant power.
he's a
So,
stupid magnet, huh?
Yeah.
yeah, no, no. I look the whole vertical stuff. Like, I I am a firm believer that like this is only the beginning of vertical. Where we are with these micro dramas and the genres that we're in and things like that. I firmly believe that we're getting ready to explode into other genres, original scripts. I think the Steven Spielberg, and I've said this before, the Steven Spielberg of verticals is out there and will make a vertical film that is so engaging and like uses the distribution method of the cell phone, and really nails content doing that way. But yes,
You've said that
original story.
oftentimes. You say that a lot. And
Yeah.
what I don't understand is why we haven't started doing this yet.
I,
I
I
mean,
I think they are. They are. They're out there. Dude,
Not
James
they,
Franco.
not they.
Oh, you mean you and
We. And
I?
Chad, a great writer, Chad. Like, so many people in this industry that actually are cool to work with,
Yeah.
that are talented, that are experienced. That's a huge thing for me. Why not do this, Brett? You know so much about it. You've got good people in your corner. Let's go.
Well, it's time and money. I mean, really.
Money, that's the big thing. It's finding the investor who will take a risk on something original that's not a vampire billionaire werewolf.
Well, the other element, the other
Secret.
side of that too is like right now, the only way to monetize these is these vertical platforms. And if you're gonna go license content to them, they're not gonna give you the revenue that is gonna be made. They're gonna give you a flat licensing fee, and then you're not gonna share in the real upside, you know. And on a small independent level, the idea of figuring out distribution to have an upside is the hard part, really, because you like I said, you could license to one of these companies, you could go out and make, and but you're just creating a job for yourself, where you're spending money, you're barely making some money, and then you have to do it all over again. You know what I mean? You're just creating a job for yourself. And even as a vendor company, like it's just a job. It's a single job. You're not sharing in the big upside of it all. My thought process behind it, right, is as an independent filmmaker, my thought process is like, make a vertical, make the engaging, wonderful story that you want to make, and then put it on every vertical distribution platform that's free in social media world. So YouTube Reels, Instagram Reels, Twitter, Snapchat, da 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 da, like, and find a name that you can get consistently across all the platforms, so it's all cross promotional, and then just put your episodes online. And what I would do, and I've talked about this before, is like, I have Rehearse Now, I have Ellie Reels, I have Brett Newton as an actor. I would make my content on these verticals completely free. So I would turn ads off on the platform so they couldn't put commercials on my stuff. And then I would just build and shoot my own commercials into it. So then it would be part of the content already, so really we're just making a commercial piece of, we're making good content, but the whole thing has a commercial with my, to make me revenue directly. You know what I mean? Or I get a sponsor and someone pays me $10,000 and I put their brand within the show or something. You know what I mean? Um, we're in a world, like, because all these systems they're AVOD, they're SVOD, they're ads, they're coins. Like, it's all of the ways
I'm going
that
to ask you what
yeah.
those words are you just said.
So advertising video on demand. So like Tubi, right? It's free to watch, but you have to watch ads. Subscription video on demand, SVOD. So like Netflix is, you have to pay to do Netflix. And Netflix is now a double model. It's SVOD and AVOD. You have to pay the higher tier of the SVOD in order to not have advertisements. And a lot of these platforms are doing that. And I mean, like, and the vertical platforms are very similar, except the vertical platforms come from a gaming background. And it's funny because, like, I like 3 years ago, I realized this, when I started kind of being a part of this system. But like, the vertical platforms come from a gaming background. So like, the way that the verticals work, it's coin based, it's advertising based, it's subscription based. But like, that's the gaming model of, like, remember, you download a free game, you'd get to play like 5 levels for free, and then it'd be harder to get to the next level. Either you had to watch ads, you had to buy coins, you had to buy a subscription. That's exactly the model that we're in right now for verticals. And
Mhm.
that's all of them. That's all of them. So like, when I look at it as an independent filmmaker, like the only way out is to get is what I said previously about putting my content out where people already exist, and then hopefully, my commercials generate my own personal revenue. Dude, the cost, I was watching an Instagram video from, like, one of those, not producer Patrick, but one of those guys, and they're saying that 90% of the revenue generated of all these vertical companies go to marketing, not to production, to
Clearly.
marketing, to marketing. They're user acquisition machines. That's a quote from the video I watched. So and I mean
Huh.
there's truth to that. I mean, like that's why I wouldn't start my own vertical app because I mean the how much money they're spending to compete in this world, if you have your own vertical app, is tremendously crazy.
But if the content is better and meaningful,
Yeah,
if the acting is good, if the stories are moving, then okay, you might not make $100 billion like Real Short or any of these big companies, but you might be able to make a pretty decent income based on loyal
sure,
appreciators,
sure,
loyal
but
viewers and customers.
you have to build that audience. You have to build that
Yeah.
revenue model. Like I mean, I totally optimistic with you, John. But like what I'm saying is the model as is right now to distribute a vertical, to
Mhm.
create a vertical is one thing, to make the movie is one thing. And I mean, this has always been the filmmaker dilemma. You make the movie, now what the fuck do you do with it? You know? But
Right.
and people don't realize that distribution is just as hard or even harder than making the actual thing.
Yeah.
So but the filmmaker's dilemma is like you could go and now sell it and license it to one of these apps. So let's say on a cheap side, let's say you do this super cheap and it costs you $50,000, which is, I mean, it's you could, but it's going to
Yeah.
be very, 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 very hard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then let's say you go and you license it to one company at a time. So yeah, maybe you could do that. Maybe you could make some money on that, after you make your budget back. Um, but I mean, you're just creating a job, and like now, like does the library of content matter? There's so much content, unless it's a big amazing movie that really generates enough audience, want and need, it becomes a cliche, I guess a movie of the centuries, like that people talk about forever. But I mean, like, there's so much content now. I don't know, like that's why I see like the whole idea of the whole social media thing of making your own thing and putting it on every platform, across all platforms, uniquely the same, with your own stuff in it. It, like that's the only revenue model that I see where an independent person can do it without creating a job for themselves, where they make a film, sell it, get some money, make a film, sell it, get some money, but it's not gonna serve them forever. It's gonna be a job, so does that make
I
sense?
kind of. What do you think, Chad?
Um, I'm just like absorbing everything he's saying. Yeah, because there's right now it feels like every week there's a new person who's got a vertical studio they're throwing out, or like producers that we work with that are like, oh, I'm working for this new company now, and which is great. Like that's more jobs. And I'm right now. This was not where I was working last year. I mean, last year sucked, and so it's nice to have these little verticals come in that I can cast. And I don't know how it is for Brad, but I mean, I'm not getting paid a lot of money for these for my casting, but at the same time, I'm also not working over 3 months. So like as a casting director, a lot of times I'm getting paid a set fee, and then a random morning we'll wake up and then they want suddenly dead bodies on set in 45 minutes. And like, that's still part of my job. I don't get paid on the per talent basis thing. Whereas I'll get hired to cast a film. We're doing callbacks next Friday. So if that had been a feature film, I might go up on my rate a little bit. But for the verticals, I'm only working for 2 or 3 weeks. So it's good money for 2 or 3 weeks of work. And it has been pretty consistent for me. And so, sorry, I dovetailed off that conversation we were
That's
talking about.
okay. It's very interesting what you're saying.
Um,
Well, like, yeah, as a look, as an independent contractor, to get like a good job here and there. But like as a filmmaker, John, and what you're talking about is like, why aren't we making our own verticals that are great, written well, produced well, acted well, and then distributed, right? And what I'm saying is like, I want to do that. I want to do that. But like but what we all want is to make that amazing independent film or vertical, and then we want to thrive in the outcome of the revenue.
Right.
Like we all want to create something that is one. Well, I mean, we what do we love in this industry? We love residuals. Residuals are slowly dying. And they have been. Uh, and one of that is because the models are changing, like the distribution models and the platforms in which we watch content, the way we watch and ingest content has changed dramatically, and the amount of content and the ability for anybody to create content. And now we're getting into a world where now machines will start creating content. And don't fool yourselves, because AI will start generating its own content, and it already is, but it will get better and it will get better and it will get better. Um, but like, like I do think we're moving into a world where like, the good stuff will rise to the top. Obviously, you do need some exposure, and exposure, I think, is the hardest thing to create right now. You can create great content, but creating exposure, distribution, and getting the eyeballs, it's the hardest thing ever.
Are you telling me, Brett Newton,
Yeah.
executive producer of the biggest vertical company in the world, are you telling me that you would have a hard time distributing content that you created yourself with your team?
So I could go like if I was going to create my own content, my own movie, my own vertical, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I could license it probably to one of these companies,
that's
for
not what I mean.
yes, Brett Newton. Yeah, I don't have a huge social media following. I don't have a huge following. Like I don't have an audience.
But
Uh,
your job and your experience and your name in that industry would get you at least into rooms or Zoom rooms. And I didn't mean to turn this into like, let's do it. I'm just saying, if anybody could, sir, I think you're one of those people. Didn't you start an AI company called RehearseNow.ai, by the way,
yeah,
where you can go to that website and actually use it for free to see how great it is? You're welcome for that plug.
thank you.
I'm sure everything that you just told me applies to starting your own AI company. You got to have the money. You're creating a
Yeah,
job. It's difficult to get people to know about it and see it. Yet you did it. I'm not saying it's making you a trillionaire right now, but you did it.
yeah,
As
for sure.
impossible as it is to own your own AI company, you did it.
Yes. Yes, but also like like at the same time, like I'm building that, and it takes a lot of work. Like
Yes.
and do I have the numbers of users that I want? No. Do we have users? Is it growing slowly? Yes. But like, do I want it to grow faster? Yes. But it's not this instant gratification that most people think it is. And like the thing, like, look, I made my first feature film, scramble. We made it, and it was we raised $20,000. We ended up spending like 80,000, said all said and done. It was a like a 20-day shoot over 6 months, because we didn't have all the money. And I'll never do that again. That was a lesson learned. But like, our lead actress quit 4 days into principal photography. We had to digitally facially replace her in 2015. Like,
Oh boy.
after that
Oh
I said
boy.
I'm never worrying about continuity ever again.
Did it look
Um,
just like a construction paper or like a magazine face like stuck on somebody like
so
South Park?
so,
Is
so
I'm
that
thinking like a
you
Demi
you
Moore in
wouldn't know.
Disclosure, which is kind of
Like
moving from room to
you
room.
wouldn't know. Yeah, my business partner at the time, Noah Edward Scott, he framed the heck out of it. What we
Wow.
did was like we recast her middle of the movie. We went and we shot everything. We edited the entire movie, and then the scenes where the original girl was, we figured out the exact angles. We reshot her on a green screen, and then we put her face on the other girl's body. And this is back in like 2015, 2016. So like the
Wow.
technology was not where it is now. Now that's very easy to do. You can just tell AI to do it. But
I
anyway,
want to I want to move
but
away from me trying to
well,
convince you to open
well,
your own
well,
thing.
hang on. Well, let me
Okay.
finish.
Okay.
But my point is, we go through this long, grueling process of filmmaking, and it was great. It was incredible, and we learned so much by it. I mean, a lot of what I do now, I learned from planting those ideas and things back then. Um, but like and then we spent so many man hours that we didn't pay ourselves for, and so much resources, and then we sell it to a distributor, Gravitas Entertainment, who like in their contract, we got a
Gravitas.
small MG, like less than 10% of what we spent on it.
That's
And
the company with
like
the napkin logo, right?
yeah, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's the big,
But
it's a
like
big, it's a good
but
studio.
but like the way that they write their contract is like, well, you owe us for this, you owe us for this. So the movie makes so much money, and then they get most of it, and we did all the hard work,
Yeah.
and then we get a check for $100 once a year. You know what I mean? And I mean like so like distribution is the hardest thing, and people need to understand that. Like that's probably something, it's probably my biggest fear. Like if I needed a business partner, I need someone who is a knows how to distribute and make money distributing. But I think that's one of the hardest things. That's one of the hardest things to do in this industry, especially since the landscape is changing so quickly. So, but yeah, look, John, if someone would just pay me to make my own movies, then hell yeah.
I
What do you
understand. I
think
mean,
about what do you think about these like drama pops, which just I did a film with them these titles. Bound to My Hot Rival, which the kid who plays my son, I mean, he looks just like Connor Story from Heated Rivalry. I mean, looks like at one point
oh wow.
I said, "Is that your real?" He goes, "No, this is Heated Rivalry." I'm like, "Oh my God, you look just like this kid." And again, talented actors. Fallon Smith directed it. It looks gorgeous. It's getting really great reviews. But we shot horizontally and vertically, so like you can turn your phone and watch it horizontally as well. What do you think about that technologically with
So
like
so Drama Pops is the app. So I don't know about them.
yeah,
But
jump pops there.
I do know that uh, Quibi was that.
Oh,
Quibi was horizontal and vertical. Like,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
I didn't know that either.
you could turn the phone horizontal and you could see it all, or you could turn it vertical and it would all be vertical.
I had no idea.
Allegedly, they had stolen the software, or the software was not entirely theirs. So there was allegedly going to be a lawsuit before they shut it all down, but
Huh.
we all know how that ended. But like production value, yeah, I think that's awesome. I do think that in the future, for every independent filmmaker, when you go to a distributor, they're gonna ask you for both assets, the horizontal and the vertical asset. And I mean, like the way that it's filming on set now, like you either have to film in a larger resolution and then on monitor know what your composition is vertically and know what your composition is horizontally, or you have to cut, shoot horizontally, later edit in vertically, and then generate the rest of the frame. You know what I mean? There's options out there, but yeah, I mean, look, that's just what I'm saying about verticals expanding, and we're at the beginning of it. Yeah, I mean, the thing is I think the imagination of every what everyone is thinking is going to come true. It's just there's going to be so much content. There's going to be so much content. So it's like you got to get through the noise, you know?
Yeah.
I think that that is not necessarily a bad thing. I like that people, even right now, can take their phone, get with their group of friends, and go out and make content, go and make something. And if it's good, people will watch it because we're inundated with, what do they call it? Slop? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's not AI generated slop.
No.
Sometimes it's been cast and produced and filmed and distributed and it's still garbage. And you know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
if people can get out there and make something great, I don't want folks to think that it's not worth doing it. It absolutely is worth doing it.
100%.
Don't bet the farm on it. You got to have other things that you're doing, but somebody's gonna make it. And you're never gonna have a shot at it. I don't mean you, but I mean, dear listener, you'll never have a shot at it if you don't line up your sights and take that shot. And I
It's also the most
think
easily accessible way into the industry right now.
there
Like
you go.
PAs, like I know that just on the shorts that we've been the vertical, because as more and more people are making them, there's less and less crew because oh, I'm on that thing. Oh, you're trying to hunt
Yeah.
down crew, and it has been my experience that working with Brett, working with Michael Sokol, working with Audrey Geets, everybody is so kind, and so those are the sets you want to work on, and you do feel like you are learning, and everybody is very patient, and if there is a problem, that problem gets fixed. And so, um, for me, like these all these children graduating from college, I'm telling them like go work in the vertical world because
Yeah.
also friends of mine who are writers, it's like we've been. I've got scripts that I've been sitting on for 15 years and I can't get anybody to look at them. But then if I turn it into a vertical and pitch it, suddenly it's like, yeah, we'll go write that right now. We'll shoot that next month. And
Wow.
that's
Wow.
I've got an arsenal of rom-coms that um as we're moving away from vampire werewolf billionaires, they're looking for rom-coms now. They're looking for more hallmarky things that can, some of these platforms, some of the platforms I'm working with. Um and so those are yeah, so some of them kind of have the trite uh tropes that are in there. But for me right now, it's a way to stay fresh as a writer and to get those pitches. And also, where else can you work in an industry where it's like just send us the pitch and then we'll go from there. So many
No,
times it's like they want the script, the budget, the cast, they want everything before they'll even consider looking at it.
no,
So
I mean, it is 100 million% providing all sorts of jobs and opportunity. Don't get me wrong. I'm going off of Jonathan's proposal of going out and making, my own
your
movie.
own thing, yeah.
But like, like the movies that I'm making and producing now, like there's a studio and budget behind it. Like, look, if I had an infinite amount of resources and money and my mortgage was paid off and I didn't have to worry about feeding my two children, like I would be making my own content all day long, you know? Um,
Sure, sure. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I mean, we've already done that. I'm just
oh,
saying there's a way to put a group together. Maybe the actors, they're not working, they don't get paid regularly anyway, so maybe they'll, like I would do this, I would invest my time to be in your short or your vertical in exchange for a percentage of equity in the company or something. And you don't need brand new actors for every single episode or whatever, every single film. Why not have a core group and they've got equity in it, and the story progresses, or you've got multiple stories. You've got in this film James plays the lead and in the next film James plays the villain. I think there's room for that now, just like a theatrical troupe or something.
sure,
But I do
sure.
have
I
a
think
couple
I think
questions.
you're going to
Go.
see. I think within 6 months you're going to see that because now that you've got Tay Diggs working, now that SAG has a contract for talent, I think you are going to have like a 2027 Mary Pickford come together, start her own studio, and it could be like that. It was her name Molly Anderson. She's so talented. She's a vertical star. She does like a bunch of real shorts. She's got a really great social. I think it's Molly Anderson is her name.
Huh.
She's so talented. She creates a lot of her own content. I think, and she was on the cover of People magazine when they were doing the whole like the vertical stars. Those, and again, like those kids for real short, they command some good money. So at some point, they're going to figure out, okay, if I'm worth this much, then if I go find a billionaire in some
Werewolf.
country that will invest in me. Yeah, exactly. That should be a short. A vertical star goes off to start their own company with
Well,
a werewolf.
you know what I love? Like you see all these brands are now like creating vertical series.
Yeah.
Like they're all over, they're all over Instagram now, which going back to the what I was saying earlier about creating your own shows. Like I really do think like if you want to create your own show and own it and create the IP and own the IP and like reap the real rewards, you would just create your own content and have it, you have to commit to it first and foremost, but creating a vertical show and then having it live on all of the platforms, all of the free social media channels, you do kind of have to build the audience. Like you said, Jonathan, like, build your audience and your niche. I mean, that's essentially what Issa Rae did, but it was a different time, different time than we're in now. I think what we've all realized is how much people really are engaging content on their phones, and on social media. I mean, I feel like the whole freaking world is on social media, and like I know every single person says, if this went away today, I would be happier, but I'm still so addicted. You
Oh,
know,
I
it,
I don't feel that way at all.
yeah,
Not at all. You're talking about social media or the phone itself.
no, social media,
I love it.
yeah,
I love it. Now I'm not glued to it,
yeah,
but I love having immediate access to other people, other ideas. There's no real like new idea out there, right? I love watching what somebody else is doing and then trying to form my own version of that if it's something that I am passionate about or care about. Uh, it, I love having information at my fingertips. I love it. Speaking of information, I want to get two bits of information from you, Chad. Vertical copywriting, or script writing, I should say.
Yeah.
You're a screenwriter and a casting director and an actor and a director. How is script writing different in the vertical format versus the landscape?
So I'm working on a script right now that I'm working for a producer, Peter Sullivan, who I adore. I did a Lifetime movie with him last year, and it was the most fun I've ever had. And his company's launching a vertical platform, and so he's been working in that. So the interesting, like I was thinking about it last night when I was working on the script. I'm like, good luck to AI because AI doing script notes, and again, he gives really good notes. But it's like I had written the first 10 pages, sent it off to him, and we had, we. What I love about Peter, Peter loves an outline. Peter loves episodes. I mean, like, it's I'm a freestyle writer. Like I'll just start writing boom, 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 boom. A weekend later, I have a script done. Start editing that way. Peter wanted the synopsis, then he wanted the outline, a 5 pager, and then the episode breakdown. And so like this is a paint by numbers script. Like you should be able to just go in and start writing. So I started writing the first 10 pages. Now we're moving episodes around. Now this needs to be here. I think if I were AI, I'd be ripping my hair out. But it's like he's a creative, so he knows story, and so suddenly, like seeing it on the page, it's like, oh, let's move this here. This is moving a little slow, and we're just talking like minute-long episodes. So that's the main difference because with there's that heightened sense of the uptick, the emotional beat of like, why am I going to keep watching past this episode? That I think would be very challenging. uh, I think a lot of these really creative directors who are really good at script notes, they're not going to be able to deal with AI. They're going to need a human who can take that and make it for them. So essentially a conduit for their storytelling. That's been the main difference that I've seen. It's those episode breaks. It's the
yeah.
paywall, the all important paywall, um, but then, I mean, clearly AI is writing these things because we've all worked on scripts that were absolutely AI, that, the dialogue or was just translated from an Asian platform that came over
Right?
and no one
I think
bothered to like look at the
I think
dialogue.
translation. I think a lot of it is translation from like an Asian story and then translated with some sort of AI translator, and then it just doesn't always translate properly.
And it's not finessed. And so
Yeah.
that
No,
to me has
it's
been the
yeah.
biggest challenge that I've seen with writing because again, like I'm Mary Lambert, who directed Pet Cemetery. We have a script that I wrote that she's directing. Jamie King is producing and starring in it. And so, I get script notes from Mary. Mary's really good with notes, but again, her notes are more creative.
Give me
Vertical
an idea
notes.
of what a good note would be.
Um, well, sometimes it really, I mean, that's why as a casting director and as an actor, I always tell actors take directing classes because then you know the cheat codes of like how they should be directing you.
Or
And
directors taking acting classes.
exactly, so you know how to deal with an actor. And
Yeah.
so a lot of that is the intents, like what is happening in the scene, and what is happening in the scene.
Speaking of acting classes, prodigytalenttraining.com is a great place to check out.
What was that
Hey.
again? Prodigy.
Prodigytalenttraining.com. That's the acting school that I own.
That's great. Okay, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, yeah. I don't necessarily mean for you, Chad, though you are welcome
No, no, no. But
anytime.
no, I'm always trying to recommend. I'm always trying to
It
recommend
worked.
online classes. Yeah, yeah. So, like a lot of the notes and verticals, like the scripts that I've written for verticals, I did write a vampire comedy. The thing that I wrote for that one platform that I shall not speak of. It's a sigil on my lips. But again, it was the
Okay.
number 1 movie. Terrible experience. Blew my career open as a writer. So again, you have to be grateful.
Yeah.
Sometimes the worst
100%.
experience will end up being the thing that
Uh,
supports you
Can
and
you
gets
tell
you.
us what the title of that movie is?
No, I can't. It's a
Okay,
sigil
fair
on my
enough.
lip.
Fair enough.
Uh,
Jonathan
Somebody
always
slept with
wants you to
somebody. I
break
can
your
tell you that
NDA.
much.
Yeah,
Somebody
Jonathan
slept.
always wants you to break your NDA. That's
He,
part of.
he's right.
Oh,
He's
Oh no, there's no
right.
NDA. It's just I don't want to support that person. That's all.
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I'm petty.
There's no
I,
NDA.
Ch-
I just
Chad,
I'm a
hate
petty
them.
bitch. Yeah.
Chad, I really think that also, like, because you've seen some of these scripts that are missing some of those episode beats and da da da.
Yeah.
I think a good director that understands this homework assignment will create it, with the actors. If it's
Yeah.
not there,
Oh,
and a
please
bad
say that
director,
again.
and
Please say that
yeah,
again.
well, a good director will create those episode beats. A bad director will miss exactly what's on the page. You know what I mean? So
Audrey Dietz, Madison Hatfield, they're both really great directors. They're both actors. I feel like it's more technical with the vertical world. It's more creative in just narrative storytelling, where I think a lot of times we, with verticals, it's a lot of tell, not show.
yes.
Meaning that we have the voiceover of like, oh my gosh, I hope that he falls for me. I just, That's why I hate the voiceover because we're feeding the audience what they're supposed to feel. Whereas a narrative, it comes through the actor and the performance. So it's just very technical. And then again, like the beats can't drop a little bit, like emotionally, they have to keep going up and up and up. But it's like in the vertical world, it's a lot of tell not show.
Well, and,
And
and
so we're
part of that
telling the audience what to
Part- Well, I mean, part of that too is because think about it. The characters are very visually exactly what they are. Like if you're a nerdy high school guy, you're gonna have the glasses and the backpack and the books, and you're gonna be the nerdy high school guy. If you're the mean evil villain, you're gonna have like the scar on the eye and like the dress and the black suit and like the gold chain or whatever. It's a very visual thing. The whole voiceover thing, like you have to think about the mix of narrative and social media. You know what I mean? And like how fast you need to engage the audience. Like that's why there's no character setup. We jump right into
Yeah,
character relationship right away, and like
yeah.
telling everything that it is.
Chad, where can we follow your work? Where can we see what you're doing, what you're up to?
My Instagram is at Chad Darnell, and my chaddarnell.net is my website.
There it is. So thank you for joining us today,
Yeah.
Chad. This was really insightful, really cool. And we'll see you next time right here on Tech and Talent.
Yeah.
Tech and Talent.